So what a week in India. You've got over 1,000 flights grounded, a trade war suddenly kicking off with Mexico, and a riot over a football star. I know, right? They sound like completely random headlines. But trust me, when you look closer, they are all pieces of a much bigger story about a nation just moving at an incredible, almost breakneck speed.
Okay, let's dive right in. We're going to start with the disruptions. I'm talking about things that hit travelers right at home and then ripple all the way out to India's trade relationships abroad. Seriously, this is one of those weeks where just getting from point A to point B, it didn't matter if you were a person or a shipping container, became a massive challenge.
Right, so first up, skies and supply chains. We're looking at grounded flights and some serious friction in global trade. It really gets to the heart of how India is trying to manage the logistics of its enormous domestic market while also playing this bigger and, sometimes controversial role on the world stage.
So, just try to picture this for a second. It is peak travel season, and IndiGo, we're talking the country's biggest airline, has a total meltdown. We're not talking a few delays here, over 1,000 flights canceled in a single day. You can just imagine the scenes at airports like Delhi and Mumbai. Absolute chaos. Thousands and thousands of passengers just stranded, with literally nowhere to go.
Now, of course, IndiGo tried to blame it on the usual suspects: crew shortages, bad weather. But things got so bad, the situation was so out of control that the Civil Aviation Authority, the DGCA, had to step in. And they didn't mess around. They hauled in the CEO, launched a full investigation, and basically sent a massive signal. Doesn't matter how big you are, you can't get away with this level of disruption. And while all that chaos was unfolding at home with IndiGo, another kind of storm was brewing, this time on the international stage. A trade spat with Mexico just exploded when they slapped a massive 50% tariff on a bunch of Indian goods. And, as you can probably guess, India is not just going to take that sitting down. They're already gearing up to hit back.
And this is really the key point. India is not negotiating from a position of weakness here. Not at all. The economy just grew by a staggering 7.3% last quarter. So why does that number matter so much? Well, when you've got a fast-growing economy with a consumer market that big, you're a partner other countries really don't want to take off. It gives India way more leverage to push back hard in disputes just like this one.
Okay, so we've talked about economic power. Now let's shift gears a bit and look at some of the state's most fundamental duties, right? We're talking about protecting its people and making sure the law is upheld.
So, how does a nation protect itself? It's a huge question, and this week gave us two really fascinating stories that get right to the heart of it. First, an investigation into a blast near a major national landmark. And second, a huge Supreme Court ruling on let's just say, a very controversial police tactic.
So you have this powerful explosion near the iconic Red Fort. The government's response was, to put it mildly, swift. The blast was immediately classified as a terrorist act. That triggered widespread raids and pretty quickly a major arrest by the National Investigation Agency. The message being sent couldn't be clearer: zero tolerance for terrorism.
And this really shows you the tightrope the state is constantly walking. Because at the exact same time that security forces are cracking down hard on terrorist suspects, you have the Supreme Court stepping in and setting new limits on just how far they can go. Their ruling on this technique, narco-analysis, basically draws a very clear line in the sand for how police can conduct their investigations.
All right, for our final section, let's talk about the people. Because this week we saw some incredibly powerful, passionate, and sometimes chaotic examples of how they make their voices heard, whether that's cheering for a sports hero or casting a vote at the ballot box.
Man, this was a wild scene out of Kolkata. So you have this massive celebration for football legend Lionel Messi. I mean, they unveiled a 70-foot-tall statue of him. But it all went south and fast. Messi apparently made only a super brief appearance, and the crowd, feeling let down, just erupted. They went on a rampage, and things got so bad that authorities had to be called in to control the riot.
Yeah, the fallout was so bad that the state's chief minister herself had to come out and issue a public apology, calling it a senseless act of violence. It's just a crazy reminder of how incredibly passionate fans can be, and probably a huge lesson for anyone planning a big public event in the future.
Meanwhile, in a completely different corner of the country, a much quieter, but maybe just as significant form of public expression was taking place. We're talking about local elections in Kerala. And as you can see, there was a huge political upset in the state capital. The BJP managed to end the Left Democratic Front's incredible 45-year reign. 45 years!
Now, this might just seem like a local election, but it's a much bigger deal than it looks. The BJP has traditionally really struggled in this part of the country, so a victory like this, it's a massive breakthrough for them. A lot of people are looking at this as a sign that the political ground might be shifting, maybe setting the tone for the big state elections coming up.
So, let's step back for a second. When you connect all these dots, the chaos at the airports, the trade fight, the security crackdown, the crazy riot, and that political upset, you start to see a really clear picture. It's a picture of a dynamic, incredibly complex nation that's grappling with all the challenges and opportunities that come with super rapid growth and change.
What a whirlwind week, right? It's just a snapshot of a country that absolutely never stands still. And if this week taught us anything, it's that in a nation of a billion stories, the only thing you can really predict is that next week's narrative will be just as compelling. Thanks for joining me.